You know what goes well with a real steak? A nice high altitude, extremist altitude Malbec. You're an extremist because you eat real beef. Maybe you raise it yourself. So you're an extra extremist like we are. And the feds are eventually probably going to come after wine too. So you should get it while you can. There probably is also a reason if you eat lab grown meat, you might want to get drunk. So you probably also want some AllisonWinePromo.com. But whoever you are, AllisonWinePromo.com, you are going to join the Allison Wine Club. We have changed it from just buying a few bottles to joining the club where you're going to get 6 bottles of these old world wines, I guess I would call it, some from the highest vineyards in the world. They are from the most remote regions in the world and from some of the smallest vineyards in the world. So those are all like, handpicked grapes, small family vineyards, some 200 years old. They all come with really amazing stories of the farmers and the people who ferment the wines. And you'll hear from the people who go around the world looking for them. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So if you're somebody who's really interested in that, you already drink wine and you want to support the channel and you're into the kind of food and agriculture that Slim's talking about today, this is a great way to do it. AllisonWinePromo.com. Hope to see you there. Texas Slim is back of the Texas Beef Initiative. Here's the latest headline. Jeff Bezos moved to Florida and invested $60 million into lab-grown meat, then Ron DeSantis banned it. We're going to talk a lot about this. This is the actual bill, and it is 80-some pages long. It is full of all kinds of stuff that has nothing to do with lab-grown meat. But the story today is lab-grown meat pushed through the legislature in Florida, banned, and then signed into law by Ron DeSantis. Everyone's saying Ron DeSantis banned it. Of course, it's not just Ron DeSantis. It was the Florida state legislature that did it, and then he signed it into law. All right. Slim, what's your opening thought on all of this?
I think that they're going to insert a lot of fake commodities into our modern day food systems like they did in the 70s. And this is what I've been talking about since I wrote The Harvest of Deception back in 2020. And what's unfolding here is basically a global industrial food shift. And they're going to insert anything they can into our food systems that they can get approved. And so on the macro level, there's a big global industrial food shift. On the micro level, as I guess the governor of Florida has, put his flag in the sand saying no to, cultured meat. Stem cell meat is only just one small aspect of the fake protein commodities that they're going to start inserting into our food systems. So this is a bigger story. It's a bigger picture. Bezos is a small-time investor in cultured meat. So get ready. It's been going on for a while, and they're ready to kind of unleash the marketing plans and everything that they're going to do as far as greenwash animal protein in the United States and the Western Hemisphere. So here we are.
All right. I personally will do everything I can to never eat lab-grown meat as long as I know what's going on and things are labeled appropriately. I'm not a fan of it, but I will say this. I am very skeptical of this political move. For instance, I think about how stuff can be used in the future. Like we all rally for a particular political move because it happens to fall on our political side of the aisle, for instance. But then later can be used against us because it's expanded the authority of the government to do things that otherwise I would not want them to do. For instance, we drink raw milk. Raw milk is one of those, I feel like the government is more nervous about raw milk than fentanyl. And it is so highly regulated in some particular situations. You can't sell it over state lines. It's ridiculous. And this makes me think of, could this be used at some point in the future? Like, okay, yeah, you're right. I never want lab meat. I could care less if it's ever sold in Florida. I'm not going to buy it. But I personally think people should be able to poison themselves with lab-grown meat if they want to. If they want to buy it, why can't they buy it? So I'm not actually a fan of this move. I think it expands government in a way that I think could be used down the road for things that I do like, and outlaw those if the wrong person, that I'm concerned about gets in power. I'm not saying I'm necessarily a huge DeSantis fan either, but, say somebody who hates raw milk gets in power and like, we're going to expand on that bill, 1080, whatever it is, 1084, and add raw milk to that. And it's easy for them now because it's already been passed into law. on top of it, this is a huge bill. I mean, it has all kinds of things in it about like pesticides, storage containers. I mean, just stuff that has nothing to do with lab grown meat. And you know, it makes me think too of all the things we see get passed through Congress that we don't even know what's in it, and they have a press conference that says, oh, it's just about lab grown meat, when it's not just about lab grown meat. There's like a gazillion other things that are pushed into the bill, but you don't know about it because they say it's about lab grown meat. So I'm curious what you think about this. I know you're not a fan of lab grown meat. I'm not a fan of lab grown meat, but I'm curious what you think about this from a political standpoint. If you really care about healthy beef, is this what you do as a government a government lawmaker? Are there ways to help healthy beef get to consumers that are not this? And is this just a political stunt?
Yeah, you know, it's very vast and it's hard to kind of grasp as far as what's unfolding. But from a political standpoint, I think DeSantis is cherry picking to where he can actually look like he's really supporting, you know, saving animal protein, that, you know, cultured meat, lab grown meat is a bad thing. But that, like I said, that's just one aspect of these fake commodities. You know, I don't know if we talked about it last time on your show, but, you know, in 2021, the FDA won that lawsuit under the Gross rule, generally recognized as safe, that they could input 2,000 new chemicals into our food systems. So for the last 2 years, you know, every consumer in the United States of America is consuming 2,000 chemicals that the FDA and the USDA do not have to tell you about. So going back to that bill that's 80 pages long, yeah, it's got, you know, shipping containers. This is a global industrial food shift. And right now, and I'll speak to animal protein in the United States of America, because as they're introducing lab grown meat and, you know, bugs and everything, fake meat into our consumption models and into our market access, you know, we're now a net importer of beef in the United States. Did y'all hear me? This is something to be very concerned about. Right now in the United States as well, we have the lowest inventory of cattle, basically the last 70 years in the United States. We are importing more beef into the United States than we're actually have market access to our own domestic product. That should tell you why they're introducing all these fake commodities into the United States of America. This is not going to stop. It's not going to be, you know, DeSantis. It doesn't matter what he thinks, because the federal governmental contracts have already been signed. Is he going to ban, you know, cricket dust from China as well? Is that in that bill? Is he going to ban worms that are basically engineered, genetically modified in India? Are we going to basically bring, you know, where has all this technology come from? We have over 13 companies that are basically founded under the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to this day, and most of those that technology came out of Israel. There's a bigger story here, and it goes back to the global industrial food reset. They like to use the word reset. We got a reset in our food systems, and they're going after animal protein in the Western Hemisphere. Going back to dairy, that's an industry that's already been consolidated and captured. You can't even, you know, you can get arrested here in Texas by doing what you do every day. And they've shut down people. They've basically fined them millions of dollars, you know, just for raw milk. So we have an attack on our basically sovereign food systems right now, and it's coming in many different facets. And all these politicians that are posturing right now, they should have been posturing back in 2017. This is when a lot of this started. They got their marching orders to do this shift. And this is not going to stop. But the only way it does stop is consumer demand. Like you said, if you want to poison yourself, go ahead. And that's what we usually end up doing in the United States of America, because we'll eat dog shit because it tastes good. And a lot of people are going to rationalize themselves saying that, you know, bug protein and cultured protein has got scientific data that it's not bad for you. Well, those are peer-reviewed reports that I have no faith in. And these politicians that actually speak up now against lab-grown meat, well, they're way behind the curve here. And if they need to be consulted, they just come to the gates of the Beef Initiative.
Okay. All right. Well, before we go any further, if you are somebody who wants to eat lab grown meat, you might need something for your liver. And the good news is I have something for you. Go to getliverhelp.com/Allison, get your liver detox formula. It is filled with all natural ingredients: turmeric, black pepper, beet, dandelion root, milk thistle, artichoke extract, ginger, alfalfa, all kinds of good stuff. Gives your liver a boost. Fatty liver, real problem in the United States. We used to think it was because of alcoholism. It turns out it's because we eat a bunch of crap in the United States. We don't get enough nutrition, eating too much sugar. And I think we're all watching this, probably some way working on that journey, but you want to give your liver a little bit of help, go to getliverhelp.com/Allison. It's a great product. I take a lot of this stuff already, and you pay a lot for just a bottle of turmeric, and it's got everything in there. So again, getliverhelp.com/Allison. Let me know what you think. Let me go over to the bill in a second. You can send me mail.
Let me comment on can I comment real quick on fatty liver disease? Okay, but we have over 20 doctors that report to the Beef Initiative that collaborate with us. Some of them are ranchers themselves, and they're family doctors. They're the real doctors in the United States. Guess what the #1 fastest growing metabolical disease is for children under 17, 16 in the United States? It's not diabetes, because we already got that. It's not obesity. It's fatty liver disease for teenagers in the United States of America. That's an epidemic that's going across this country as far as our metabolical disease. It's because exactly what you said. So just to add to your little pitch there for having a clean liver, yeah, this is happening to everybody, and we're starting to poison our children now too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, a friend of mine just took her son in to have cavities filled, and the dentist sent her home with fluoride tablets and free ice cream coupon. I mean, you please tell me how that makes any sense. You know, anyway, I'm not going to even go on that path right now, but okay, here's 1084, right? I have to make sure. Yeah. 1084. This is what it says. Cultivated meat is defined as any meat or food product produced from cultured animal cells. Food includes food or drink for human consumption, chewing gum, which I thought was interesting. You know, they're going to come out with that beefarette chewing gum that you're going to want to have on you just
right.
in case. Forget about beef jerky. Any articles used for components of such articles for which health claims are made. So like it basically covers everything. This is why I tell you, like, anything in dietary supplements, and also hemp extract. I mean, so there's so much stuff that's jammed into this, but cultivated meat prohibition penalties include, now, and it says the term includes any raw, cooked, processed, edible substance, ice, beverage, any ingredient used, intended for use, or sold for human consumption. Unlawful for any person to manufacture, for sale, sell, hold, or offer for sale, or distribute cultivated meat in the state. A person who knowingly violates this section commits a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree, and a food establishment manufactures, distributes, or sells cultivated meat in violation of the section is subject to disciplinary action. In addition to the penalties provided in the section, the license of any restaurant, store, or other business may be suspended as provided in the applicable licensing law upon the conviction of an owner or employee of that business for a violation of this section. A product found to be in violation of the section is subject to this particular code, an immediate stop sale order. The department may adopt rules to implement this section. And then it goes on to a shipping service storage unit part of the bill, which has nothing to do with lab grown meat. But anyway, yeah, so that's it. So now you've seen that section of it, but that's all in this particular bill that has to do with specifically lab grown meat. And you could just see like there's still a whole lot more. I mean, that was only page 36. So I just don't know, Slim. I mean, I'll be honest, like there's things like Roundup, for instance, that I really wish I didn't see at Home Depot when I go to Home Depot. I'm not a fan of it. I would love to not see it anymore. Do I want it banned? I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, in this particular case, if somebody goes and has a lab grown hamburger, it does nothing to me, right? But if somebody goes and sprays a bunch of Roundup all over the place, it does affect me. So what do you think, let's talk about that. Like, where would you place your interest in government regulation when it comes to something like that?
Well, in my lifetime, and this is what I always have to really definitively say, food is not science. Food is biology. It's always been biology. It's not science. And the best, most dense nutritional food that we've ever had is basically animal protein. And in the United States of America, this is what was a lot of our power. We used to have over, after the Civil War, we still had 50% of Americans were basically in agriculture. Now, less than 1% of our population feeds the other 99%. And so this is a very good way of basically, leveraging into making that percentage even smaller, because whenever you have lab grown meat, that means that it's science. It means it's done in the lab. It's not done on the land. It's not done within the soil. And we've lost so much basically understanding and really true clarity of what food is and how you produce food. And for them to basically be able to change the narrative and run in this direction, as far as even having this as an argument that this is going to be something that's good for humanity, or even for children, or even if it's just a byproduct of something that we have, that we can consume on the side. No, it's not a good idea. Whenever you start messing with food the way we have in the last 50 years in the United States of America, you kill basically the society. You look at any past history, the first thing that went usually is the money. Right after that is the food, basically the nutritional value of that food. No matter what they do in the science labs, will never deliver the type of vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that you actually need to have a clean liver, basically a clear mind, and longevity of life. Our longevity of life in the United States of America is going backwards right now. It's because of what we consume. So hell no, there should never be any scientific meat on any shelves. And, everybody's going to say, hey, I'm not going to eat that 3D printed or cultured steak. Very, very few people would ever venture there. It's an idealistic approach to food. And whenever we get into idealism and food, saying it's basically going to save the planet because we're killing the planet through agriculture, once again, you're just validating deceptions. And I refuse to validate any deception when it comes to density of nutrition, especially for my son and my family. There's no place for it in the United States of America. If they want to do it in Israel, if they want to do it anywhere else across the world, then get busy. You have all the means and you have all the money. The reason they're doing this is they're taking animal protein out of the Western Hemisphere. And there's a global food war going on right now. There's nations that can't feed themselves. You think that those nations are going to be eating 3D printed meat, cultured meat, stem cell meat? No, if they do, it'll be basically as a byproduct, as a filler, just like they use fillers today with soy and anything else. It basically announced that they now have a pork infused soybean. So that's, once again, they're taking animal protein out of our consumption model, and all of our beef now is being sold overseas. And more that we validate these deceptions, the more that we say, hell no. Where do we mark the line, man, when it comes to our food systems? Where is it? I don't know. For me, it was a long time ago. And where is it for the general public? Everybody thinks that Chick-fil-A is a great alternative to McDonald's. Well, did you see what they just did? Now they're going to start introducing freaking, antibiotics into everything. They saying, well, we have to change our protocol of chicken because there's a supply shortage of good chicken. Does that tell you something? Okay. And this is why they're taking animal protein out of our mindsets first, saying it's good for you, so they can basically go ahead and introduce a new fake commodity into the food system. And we just lost Allison, so I'm going to stay here. I've done this more than once. There you are.
Oh, I'm here.
So, well, I was just going to take over the show.
My internet signal is kind of beating me up, so you may have to take over.
It's okay.
At AllisonMarrow.locals.com, you can pay $5 a month to ask people questions, the most censored people on the internet, and you get to go one-on-one. And we got a bunch of questions for Slim coming up. You can also send me mail, your loose pocket change, P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida 34432. Alan sent me a nice letter and said, included are a few U.S. bills that have been sitting on top of my refrigerator since pre-pandemic times, collecting dust. Literally, I don't have U.S. travel plans in the foreseeable future. And yes, they're gradually becoming next to worthless. Someone needs to put them to good use sooner rather than later. And now you have been tasked with that duty. So thank you, Alan, for sending me your loose pocket change. And thanks everybody who sends me mail and supports me